Hello everybody. Vibes to you. This beautiful setting of the sun. I'm out here in Connecticut right now. Just had a snow out of nowhere. And this video is about identity as it relates to your religious faction. And I feel like it's one of the most important things that can be discussed in life, because who we identify with during the day, every day, ultimately becomes who we identify with in our lifetime. I remember third grade specifically, and I'm reminded this now of my nephew who's like 2, and he refers to himself in third person all the time. And things will be like, he'll call it, I'll say Rocco's napkin, Rocco's hoodie, Rocco doesn't like that. I remember I did that. And then at a certain point, there was this correction or this augmenting because of what my social environment told me was appropriate, told me was okay, told me was supposed to be, and I started changing. And when I was 22, I had this thing happen. I had a bunch of things happen when I was 22, which is among other reasons why I have it tattooed on my wrist. There will be a video about that on this channel. And one of the things that happened when I was 22 in 2012 was I had a conversation with 2 friends from Texas who were pretty devout Christians. They were visiting on a mission trip, and I had lived in LA for 3 years by that point. And I had a friend who was Muslim who was becoming one of my best friends, and had told me things about Islam and the Muslim faith that I had previously never knew. And I was raised in this Fox News watching household, and so these things that my Muslim friend, whose family was from Iraq, was telling me were very contrary to what I had been told previously about this thing that I thought I had an idea about. And so I had a question for my Christian friends who were visiting at the time. And because I was disturbed. I was lost. I was confused. I was sad and depressed. I wasn't quite yet angry. I didn't think that I was allowed to be angry. Anger to me at that time was still like, something like, what do you got to be angry about? I could be sad. Sad was almost like woundedness, but anger was like woundedness and then action towards some type of outcome. I wasn't there yet. I was still sad. And so I was asking questions to people who I thought maybe, I don't know, maybe they had some insight on some things. And so I asked my Christian friends who were there on this, it was a missionary retreat. And they were crashing on my couch for a long weekend. And I was very confused because they seemed to be do-gooders. They seemed to be, people who had this image of themselves as good people. And I was very much caught up in my own identification as a good person. And at the time, I didn't drink, I didn't smoke, I was celibate, and I postured myself up on this place of some kind of moral, ethical superiority complex. And so I asked them to get some reflection on where they were at with it. I was like, so I have this friend, he's Muslim, and he seems to be a great guy, but as Christians, like, what do we believe about him? Do we think he's like good? Can he be good? Or is he confused? And does this confusion mean that he's going to hell? Like, what does this mean for us? And they basically confirmed that, they were like, I remember very specifically they said, we'll pray for him. And I heard the like kind of overlaying surface element of what that was, which was this the social mask of it was like we wish you the best kind of thing, but also with this other implication as an undertone. And I asked them, I basically inquired further, and I was like, do you think he's going to hell because he doesn't believe that Jesus is the one way and the way to God? And they were basically like, yeah. And not to say that this is a reflection on all Christians. I know many other Christians who do not think this. I know many Christians who believe, it's 2018 right now, it's February 2018, and I have many Christians in my life that love me, and I'm not Christian, and love many other people who aren't Christian. So, not to say that this is a reflection on all Christians at all, but this is my story with Christianity. Really more so my story with Christ. And so I knew at that moment in 2012 I had to disavow this lifelong identification as a Christian. And it did something, because I was baptized when I was like, a newborn, and I went to church growing up here and there. My family wasn't like devout or anything. But it cracked the mirror that I saw myself in. And I'm sharing this with you now as a precursor to some more videos that I'm going to make about this subject, and just ask you a couple questions that maybe can reflect back to you something of importance regarding identity. If you were born in a different country, would you believe what you believe now? Would you speak the same language you speak now? If you had a different pigment, skin color, would you identify with the group of people you currently identify with as your fellow members in the social situation that you're in? And would this cause you to have a different perspective of other people who are juxtaposed or against or not with you in your social situation? That's all pointing at this thing that I call lensing, which there is a video that I have on this channel about lensing, which I'm gonna make an update to it because it's a little old, and there's some new context I have regarding lensing. But I think it's a really important thing because, I was born Caucasian, male, in America, to a conservative family of relatively upper class monetary tax bracket standings. And I'm now 27, and I've seen how much all of those things got in the way of me experiencing who I really am, who I truly am, who I am in truth, and how they confused me, and how they distorted how I saw other people, and how they got me further away from truth, and how they got me further away from Christ, and how they got me further away from love, loving myself and my ability to love others, and how they fortified my egoic membrane. I almost picture, like, here's my physical self, and I picture the ego as like this membrane that's like almost like an invisible sheath around me. If you picture like a cell and like the nucleus, and then there's like the little membrane, I picture the ego as almost this like social membrane that allows us to all, we all identify as ourselves. So this is me, that's you, this is me, that's them, this is us, this is me. And I found yoga like a year and a half ago, and I found everything I was looking for, really, that I tried to connect to in Islam, and I tried to connect to in Christianity, and Buddhism resonated for a while. Never really dove too far into Judaism. Found this thing called the Baha'i faith. I talked to some atheists along the way. was really confused about who Satan was, because I heard some people were Satanists, and I guess I never had like a full in-depth conversation with a Satanist in person. Met some people who now I'm pretty sure, looking back, that they're Luciferian. And so I have all these contexts of these different classifications of different peoples and different identity collections. And my question is just like, what do you want? What are you seeking? I'm still discovering what I'm seeking. I'm seeking truth, I know that. And it seems to be metamorphosizing as I metamorphosize. And I do resonate with a group of people who identify themselves as truth seekers. I do resonate with many components of ancient Kemet or Egyptology, and this land that has been referred to as Atlantis, and this star seed indigo rainbow tribe collection of souls who have manifested in physical bodies on Earth, on Gaia, who seem to have some type of mission in their DNA that has to do with connecting people and connecting with people and awakening this thing inside of everybody that is called Christ, that looks like light, that just looks like light, and that manifests as a physical human experience as love. Physical, emotional, mental, experiential, multidimensional love, not just physical love, not just social love. Oh, I show you love, not just social love, not just likes on Instagram. Something that starts to dissolve time, because it puts you in this thing called purpose. Oh, I found my purpose. You see somebody out there, oh, I found my purpose. What does that mean? What purpose? For what? What am I here for? What am I here for was kind of one of the big questions for me. And it's getting, I'm getting cold out here.